Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate your time and attention. In fact, I'm fully aware that time and attention are probably the two most valuable commodities that any of us have. And time is a precious and non-renewable resource. Once it's gone, it's gone. And so it is absolutely my mindset that the time and attention that you spend here is really an investment, and that it will reap rewards and dividends in your life. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about AI. Of course, it's in the news, it's trending. I even happened to catch a live talk on Twitter where Elon Musk was being interviewed about his concepts of AI and what he thinks the future will look like. One of his predictions was that within the next 5 years or less, that AI will reach a state of what he called superintelligence. And the way he defined superintelligence was that AI will be more intelligent on any and every subject than any individual on the planet. And then he made this interesting caveat. He said, but that doesn't mean AI will be more intelligent than the collective humanity or collective human intelligence on the planet. I thought that was a really interesting insight. And as I was sharing this thought about AI and this discussion that I heard, one of my dear friends started asking questions about what did I think about AI, and her question really revolved around, did I think that eventually AI will be able to mimic what we call intuition, or this hunch that we feel, gut feeling, and really what she was getting at too was our source of connection with our creator or with creativity. And I thought that was very interesting. And then she even posed, and what about our understanding of who God is? What do I think about the future of AI in the sense of spirituality? And the first thing that came to mind was that my connection with God, our connection with God, is a relationship, right? It's love. God is love. And so it's not about information, it's about connection. And AI currently, as we understand it, is large models that are taking myriads, vast, unfathomable amounts of data and being able to pour through it and to pull from it and even to draw some new conclusions using what's called a transformer. However, it's still information-based. But is that truly a connection with this creative and intuition, inspiration that comes to us as humans? It's my hunch, as I've already alluded, that information and inspiration are quite different. And this spiritual connection that we have, or that we can have, that we can cultivate with God, is really about relationship. It's love. It's relationship with love. And what that made me think of, where my mind went, is what I have dubbed a quite different kind of AI. And I am really interested in what I believe is an epidemic of artificial intimacy, AI. That there's this false sense when we spend time online, scrolling and posting, etc., that somehow we are making real connections. And that can happen, right? With time, I've made some amazing friends that I met online, but I've invested time, intention, and shared my life with them, right? Parts of my life with them. But I see too many signs, too much evidence that many people have what I dub AI, artificial intimacy, where they're feeling connected, but only it's a false analytic. So they're watching, right? They're consuming, but they're not connecting. I think one of the more essential human elements to who we are and what makes life actually meaningful is connections, true, vulnerable, authentic, intimate, honest connections, which we know in real life isn't very easy to do, and how much more daunting that is online on a screen. And so I think that it's very easy to feel like we've connected with an influencer or a celebrity or something because we see them on the screen and it's as if they're speaking directly to us, when the reality is that's a delusion. We don't really have any connection with them, most of us. And I think there's a really important distinction between knowing a lot about someone and knowing someone. To take that into the spiritual arena, I have grown up in church. I've known lots and lots of people who can quote scripture. I've known people that basically have the Bible memorized front to back. They can give you a chapter and a verse to almost any scripture. But some of those people, not all, but some of those people aren't the kind of people I'd really want to hang out with, right? They're not implementing the information that they've received. And I think that's that distinction between knowing about something or about someone and actually knowing them. And as I read scripture, and the more I understand it, the more I am compelled to believe that God is far more concerned with our connection with Him, with a true, intimate relationship than pretty much anything else. That scriptures can be interpreted lots of different ways, as they are and have been, and manipulated to agendas that really weren't at all about love. If ultimately, as scripture says, God is love, well, love is patient and kind and gentle and forgiving, and I think that it's pretty easy to determine that people who know a lot about God don't really know Him in the sense of intimate relationship. And really, that's where transformation occurs, right? That's where true transformation in our heart happens. And many religions have used scriptures and ancient texts as sort of behavior modification prescription. But I really think that if God is an entity, right, a person, not a human, but alive and active and interested in our lives, then He's far more concerned about inner transformation than He is about accumulation of information. And but when I am very much in that space of relationship with God, intimate, personal relationship, when I'm talking to God, my Creator, as a friend, as a companion, as a guide, then that connection is formed. Real intimacy, not AI, not artificial intimacy. Anytime I record any of these podcasts, I'm speaking to me. I really am, because I'm right there in the camera, as much as I'm speaking to anyone else. But it's this reminder that knowing about God and knowing God are completely different things. And when I look at scriptures and I really dig into it with that framework, with that mindset, with that curiosity, I see lots of evidence that really the whole story, history, which actually, take the word history, it's His story and how we fit into it, is God's desire for relationship. Started in the garden, walking with Adam and Eve. Some people think that's metaphorical or symbolic. Some people think it's literal. It really makes no difference. The truth from that is the same. That God, from the very beginning, His desire was relationship with His creation. And I think that doesn't stop with humans, but at all levels, from the cosmic to the quantum, God is at work. The energy between the molecules that holds everything together, which is invisible, is what some people would call the God particle. Of course, God is not a particle or a wave. He created both of those. So even when people talk a lot about how the universe protects them or the universe is in their favor, I think, well, let's go one step further. It's not just the universe, which is the creation, but the creator of the universe, right? The one who made it all, the one who knows everything about it, knows how it works, in fact, designed it, right? That's the one I want to be connected with. Not just know about God, but to know God. Many years ago, hundreds of years ago, there was a consortium of theologians asked, what is the chief end? What's the chief purpose of us as humans? And after much debate and lots of, I'm sure, considerations, they came down to this simple sentence. It's called the Westminster Confession, and it says, the chief purpose of us as humans is to know God and to enjoy Him forever. To know God, not about God, and to enjoy Him, enjoy relationship forever. And I would say those two things are really intertwined, because the more I understand about God, the more I interact with God, the more I realize that's where the joy is. I am in joy. I'm enjoying God because I'm in joy. In his presence, Bible says, is fullness of joy, which I think that puts to rest a lot of the feelings that God is something to be afraid of. There's a lot of scriptures that talk about fearing God, and I think that word fear has been changed in terms of its understanding of what it means in that context. And the best explanation I've heard is it's not the fear of cowering because you're afraid of a giant hammer in the sky waiting for you to make a mistake so it can just poke you down like a pop-a-mole, right, game? But fear in the sense of awe and wonder, like just overwhelmed with, oh my word. And my favorite illustration of that is my experience is going to Yosemite National Park in California for the first time. You come through a tunnel and all of a sudden it opens up into Yosemite Valley, and it is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous with the waterfalls on one side and Half Dome and the beautiful rock face of El Capitan, the river going down in the valley. And it seriously, it takes your breath away. It's like one of those things like no picture ever does it justice, and all of a sudden you're there and it's, whoa. That's a better definition, I think, of fear. And I gotta tell you from my own experience, being in those moments where I could really sense that connection with God, when it wasn't artificial, but it was authentic, that's the feeling I got, this awe and wonder and reverence in a very beautiful way, and then feeling the love and the joy. Can computers do that? Artificial intelligence? I don't think so, because the word itself gives away that it's artificial, and God's far more interested in authenticity. So I would say whatever artificial intelligence does, whether it's helpful or harmful, is really up to us, the users. And the same is true in our understanding and connection with the Creator. It's helpful or harmful based on our perception and how we use this opportunity to connect with the source of all truth, knowledge, and love.